రన్నింగ్ ఇది స్టాప్ ఇప్పుడున్న మేడం తయారు చేయిందనుకో ఇప్పుడన్నా జనరల్గా ఇట్లా పెట్టేసి వెళ్తా
Introduce the topic for this week, that is importance of nutrition and lifestyle management. Now I'm privileged to introduce the guest speaker, Dr. Lata Shashi, a well-known nutritionist in Twin Cities. After completing her PhD in food and nutrition in 1997, thus was born Nutrifit. This firm, which she was associated for 15 years, grew into one of the most reliable sources for clinical, nutritional care and health management. She is also a guest faculty with several top organizations and institutions like BHGL, ASCI, Dr. Reddy Labs Foundation for Health Education. Ma'am was selected for Young Scientist Award by Nutrition Society, India in 1997. The Lions Club of Hyderabad chose her for Lions Award, and in 2011 she won the A.N. Radha Award for the Best Research Paper. And now, with that note, I would like to invite Dr. Lata Shashi Ma'am onto the dais. Now,
Thank you, Ms. Ruth, for that kind words of introduction. Good afternoon, boys and girls. It's my privilege to be here, and I thank Dr. Kulkarni and Dr. Papiraju ma'am for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences with the group here. The way I have put in, like Ruth was suggesting, it's nutritional lifestyle management as a topic, but I thought it apt to title today's session as Fitness on Your Plate. What you eat is what you are. So with that note, all of you stepping into the next phase of your career, 2 years from now, you're all moving into young executives, and by then, along with your academic performance, you need to be fit and healthy. Or in other words, simple words, we say, be well. Right? So what's health? I was earlier joking that I'm going to pose the questions to the last row. Anyone want to take a call on what's health or what's wellness? I mean, what is the first word that strikes you all when I say, are you healthy? Pardon? Anyone? Just shoot out, you need not get up, just sit and... If you don't be interactive, all of us are going to sleep. Right? I know you all had a busy day, been tired since morning, so keep talking so that at least you don't sleep. Yeah, just shout out what you all think is health. Being, I heard strength. Strong, you mean being strong? Okay. Anything else? Okay, I'll put it the other way. Do all of you think you all are healthy? Let's have a raise of hands. How many of you all think you all are healthy? Why not all the hands? Why not all the hands? I think all of you are healthy. As you all were walking in, I was looking in now to see if I could spot anyone who's not healthy. I think I missed them. Why? those who have not raised your hands, do you really think you're not healthy? Or you're not well? Yes. If so, why? Why is it you think you're not healthy? Those of you who didn't raise your hands, just tell it from your place. You need not get up as a full. Why do you think you're not healthy? Is it because you feel tired by the end of the day? Is it because you feel weak by the end of the day? Yeah? In the past, health was always defined as an absence of disease. That is, if you don't have any particular disease, you are supposed to be healthy. But health now is always equated to wellness. And when we say a person is healthy, we always look upon it from the point of an expanded idea of health. That is, there is optimal health and vitality and comprising all these areas. It's not just physical health. Mentally you need to be agile and healthy. Emotionally you need to be healthy. So when it encompasses all these areas, only then we call a person being healthy. Even the World Health Organization, WHO, defines a healthy person as one who is healthy in all areas of or all spheres and not just the absence of disease. So like I said earlier, if a person is just that proudly says or never gone to a doctor for the last 1 year, but this person gets up every day in the morning drained out, tired even after sleeping for 8 hours, always has a cold and sneezing around, this person is not healthy. Right? Might not need to visit a doctor, but is not healthy in the literal sense. These are the top 10 impediments that have been researched out in various papers to identify as blocks for performance according to the students. If you see, the highest percentage falls at anxiety. Students of your age have quoted being anxious, being stressed as one of the major areas as an impediment for their academic performance. Next, stress itself, sleep difficulties, frequently falling sick. Why I took the common cold is exactly that, right? Depression, of course only 30%, but then if you look at, this is from a survey that was done from 2008 to present. If you see, a branch of group of college students have rated it this way. So what are the factors that influence your health, wellness, physical fitness? When we look at it, these three components, your health, how well you are, and your physical fitness, is affected by all these factors. These factors which are there in blue are factors which we cannot change. Your heredity, what you have as your age, is something which is non-modifiable. But the factors which are in red, that is your healthy lifestyle and your personal actions, these are something which you can modify. And these can bring about a modification in your fitness. This is how we put it. Every man is a product of nature and nurture. So it's not just heredity that each one of us the way we are. It is also affected by nurture, that is your environment. So both heredity and environment makes up a man. Right? So if you look at this, we put it in as a spokes of a wheel. These factors in red, that's your age, your sex, heredity, and personality, are something which is static and non-modifiable. You cannot change it. So is it destiny that you are the way you are? My answer would be yes, because yes, if a person is at a particular height of 5 feet and remains at 5 feet, yes, that's, if you look at it, it is destined to be at 5 feet because the person's hereditary genes limits the person to be only at 5 feet, right? But can you overcome your destiny? My answer again is yes, because for certain conditions, these dynamic and modifiable factors can modify your fixed factors. For example, all of you know diabetes is a condition which is or grandparents or friends talking of, oh, anyway it's there in the family, so I'm going to get it. Isn't it? But that is a myth. Yes, I agree diabetes is a hereditary condition, but it is not necessary that the diabetic parents will have children who will end up getting diabetes. They will not. How is it possible? It's possible because of these other factors. So, even if a person has a strong family history of diabetes, he or she can avoid getting diabetes if he can modify and be in control of all these other factors. If the person can manage his diet right from beginning, keep his cholesterol levels, his blood pressure, his body weight and his other parameters under control, he can definitely prolong or push away the diabetes. What would come at 30 years and 35 can be pushed, must be 50 years and beyond, or sometimes not at all. So that is why we say there are conditions which can be overcome. So you can overcome your destiny if you look at these factors, and if you all of you observe, these are all the major lifestyle factors. It's nothing to do with what you're born with. None of us is born with diabetes. Even a pregnant woman who gets diabetes, what we call gestational diabetes, the baby born to this mother is not diabetic. That baby might become diabetic if you start loading the baby right from infancy with lots of ghee, sugar and this. Yes, that child definitely end up becoming obese and then become diabetic. But the child is not born diabetic. Okay? So even the insulin dependent diabetes that we call the juvenile diabetes is also a condition. Yes, because the pancreas has, that is again hereditary and destined to this. Nothing to do with that the person got it because of heredity. Clear? So then this is the interrelationship between diet and disease. Between diet, disease and lifestyle. A person's body weight, the amount of fat the person has, the amount of lipids, that is lipids are nothing but cholesterol, triglycerides, all that we have in our blood, all this is affected by your diet. If you are not eating the right diet, these factors will definitely change. It is also impacted by the stress, smoking, alcohol and your other lifestyle habits, which will lead to an increase in body weight, increase in fat, increase in cholesterol, will definitely lead to obesity, diabetes, hyperlipidemia or high blood pressure. Again, see the irony. To treat these, you again need diet. This is the cornerstone, not medicines first. Whether it is diabetes, whether it is high blood pressure, high cholesterol, the treatment is again with diet. Diet, when it's not being controlled, definitely moves on to drugs. So, diet has an important role to play in causing a condition and also treating a condition. And that is the important link that I wanted to get around, or the interrelationship that diet has with your disease and lifestyle. Right? A person might be eating a healthy diet but doesn't have a proper control all the other habits. Definitely you are again involving getting all the conditions. So if I'm talking on diet, what are the changes that has happened? We call this a transition that has happened over the years. There's a shift towards more refined foods. There's a shift towards more of meat and dairy products which are high in fats. There's reduced energy expenditure and hence there's a global rise of obesity. The shift is in the global burden of the disease. Obesity is become a disease now. We call it a disease. It's not just a condition of being overweight, because that is the root cause for any condition nowadays. Right? See how technology has changed. Most of you must have seen this. It's an oft repeated that we favorably use in all our presentations. The computer engineers here, we don't have it. All of you all have come up with things of making your slim TVs, but watching your slim TVs, this is where we are all ending up with. These are the lifestyle changes that has come over. We nowadays have children, it starts right from birth, as I told you. It's not to do with it. We have children born more than 4 kgs. I work with Fernandez Hospitals. It's one of the premier hospitals in the city. I was first time when I saw baby with 4.9 kgs, I was shocked. The mother was worried. Ma'am, इतना अच्छा तंदुरुस्त है आप क्यों? Why are you saying you're worried? I said I'm scared because I see the baby doesn't look like a newborn baby, it looks like a nice 2-month-old baby. And then you know that this baby, because I have been reading already about this, I know this baby will end up being a dove. So that is sad. Okay? So, like most of the parents at Fernandez, when I counsel them, they tell me, why is it you frighten me so much when they're having gestation diabetes? I keep counseling them on, your baby will be large, don't go to that extent. So they are surprised why a large baby is not good. Healthy. I don't know if all of you have heard, elders usually use the word, नहीं, weight तो ज़्यादा नहीं है, लेकिन मेरा बच्चा थोड़ा healthy है. You know, that is the word they use. They don't claim that. So the notion is, if they are children, they have to be chubby, they have to be the so-called healthy in inverted commas I use. So for them, a 5 kg baby looks, it's a great credit. Oh, see, I was able to give birth to a large baby. But if the mother didn't have any problems and was this 5 kg baby, it's okay. But if the mother was a diabetic, like through pregnancy and then delivered this baby, we always have doubt that this child might end up putting on weight. Now, especially why I have showed you here this is that a large baby, right from birth, is always needs to be eating more. Right? The baby will be always voraciously hungry, breast milk might not be sufficient. So the mother has to feed the baby extra. So right from infancy, you start overfeeding the baby. Toddler stage, later stage, childhood is not a stage where you can stop a child from the child asks, you have to give. It's not the time to start doing dieting with a child, right? You have to. You'll be surprised, right by 1 year, a child will already be 20 kgs. That is really bad. Bad, even for a counselor like me, because it's very difficult to counsel the mother and the child at 1 year of age to start eating less, which is really not healthy because the child still has the entire growth phase left. Right? So the lifestyle changes actually starts right from here. So this is one major reason. Second, shopping or eating more food than required. Our supermarket culture has actually ended up in lack of time for the parents or for the mother in herself, ending up going on the weekends to stock her food and then picking up everything possible because you don't know when you're going to get time to get again. So get everything that is needed or not needed or expected that you might need it and get it and keep it. Right? And get larger. The supermarkets have a great this one of showing if you take 3 liters, you will get a double this one. So naturally you pick up a larger portion. Now, if I take example of Cokes, why I'm taking example of Coke is, I had a mother who actually came to me saying, ma'am, my daughter is just 3-year-old, doesn't stop drinking Fanta or Coke. So while I started talking and understanding where is she getting the Fanta and Coke, her fridge always has 1.5 liter of bottles in the fridge. They stay somewhere in Kodapur. So I said, why are you keeping a bottle in the fridge? The mother answered me, ma'am, I'm alone, my husband is always on toes. So when I have guests at home, I can't run around getting something. So she stocks it. You keep 1.5 liter of Coke in your fridge and tell your daughter not to drink. She tried doing it. The daughter asked her, guest ke liye aap wo de rahe hain, why is it I can't drink? See, so this is where I have found most of the houses you get an extra just because you have no option and then the child has to keep seeing it, you feel like eating it. By child, all the elders also feel like eating and drinking. Second reason, sometimes it starts getting spoiled, not Coke, there are foods, other foods, it's getting spoiled, so you have to finish it. So, you finish it. So, you actually most of the time eat more than what's required. Activity, less physical activity, lack of exercise, play, lack of play, and it's typically a sedentary life, right? This is, I don't need to talk much on that, it's a fact. Now, this is how I have put in a daily routine that goes in. A busy schedule, yes? Where do all of you wake up? After a late night? You have to reach, I was checking with ma'am said you all have to reach at least by 9:30. Okay. So when you all wake wake up? 5? Wow, that's surprising. Huh? Okay, the next question for me is, today, how many of you all had your breakfast? Can I have a rise of hands at least for this? How many of you all had your breakfast today? Good. I mean, I find that good. And does it happen every day? Yeah? All those who raise hands do have a breakfast every day? Good. I'll come to that, why I asked that. So, a typical schedule or a schedule that happens, routine is, you have a busy schedule. So once you come in, you're like back-to-back classes. Must be you're still going in for more rigorous routines. Still you're getting into your second year, you have your routine coming in, but yet. So the meal timings, most of the time are delayed. If you don't eat your meals at the time given, you are skipping it, then naturally you have to wait for your next system. And whenever there's a delay in timings, whatever we eat is what gives our blood glucose, isn't it? So there's a decrease in the blood sugar. That is definitely leading to lack of concentration. And you can typically take this example when you're actually sitting at you need to submit a project report, you need to finish it, your deadline is close. Just take that example, this is what most of us end up doing, right? You want to finish it off and then go and eat. So you and then slowly realize you have a headache, you can't concentrate. So what do you reach to? You still don't have time to get up and eat. So you reach out to those little stimulants. What is our favorite stimulant? Those who bring tea. Tea will be the first thing to reach because it's easiest to get, easiest to gulp down and no disturbance in what you're doing, right? So you actually end up taking some small stimulants. Those of you smoke, I don't know if any of you this one, that is a very common thing that ends up in, right? And this, what it does, is actually only gives you a temporary high, that is just helps you at that little time to push on. It is not giving you extra glucose levels or anything to get that, but you feel good and you continue working. Because of that temporary high, there is a change in your hormone levels and there is a what we call physiological stress created in your body. Fine? And after you finish your work, you are so drained out and you are relaxed that you finished it, you end up eating a large quantity of meal because you're really tired, right? You're tired. You're so tired that you don't even realize what you're eating. You simply sit down and go on eating. And if the TV is on, you really forget, happily take your plate, sit and friend. According to you all, it is relaxing because you don't even know what you're watching. That will be on, running out there, and you keep gobbling. So that ends up being a large quantity. When we eat a large quantity of meat, there's a sudden push of blood sugars in our blood, and there's a sudden increase in the blood sugar causes a change in hormones. The main hormone that changes is insulin, right? Because the sudden push in blood glucose has to be controlled. Those of them, if this cycle continues, that increase in insulin is what causes excess fat formation in the body. I won't be surprised if 50% of you all here who look very thin and nice now, 3 years from now, if you do have a schedule like this, you will end up being fat. You can take my word, 50% of you. And I said when you are walked in, none of you are obese in this group. As of now, at this age, yes. But if you have this sort of a schedule that you all are, any of you all are still in, 3 years from now, when you pass out of college, you will be fat. Because that is how the body starts depositing. You don't realize, you won't see it today, tomorrow, next year also you will not see it. Girls are going to be the first prime victim for this because hormones, extrinsic progesterone, have a stronger relation to fat than the boys. So there's a disadvantage more for the girls than for the boys, right? And that change in hormone levels makes you suddenly feel very drowsy because you ate so much and then a sudden push and you want to lie down immediately and you think it is because you work so hard and you lie down, right? So that extra deposit of fat continues. This is not a problem if it happens once in a week or if it happens once in a month, but if it happens every day and weeks together, months and years together, that is the impact that you're going to see, where you end up being obese and overweight and hence increase. From there starts slow metabolism, everything starts slowing down, you don't want to work, exercise takes a beating, all that continues. So this is a vicious cycle that continues, and it will start now. For you to see the impact of this vicious cycle will be 3 to 4 years from now, right? This is a study that has shown that more time of TV viewing is equivalent to increased risk of obesity and diabetes. See the number of hours per week spent in sitting in front and watching television. As the number of hours increase, the relative risk for both these conditions have increased. These are some of the behaviors that have been reported to contribute to wellness. Your physical activity, your diet, the body weight, how you manage stress, and how you protect yourself. So all these are some of the behaviors also that have been reported. So then we come to the question, are you really fat? How do you judge, is one really fat? Like I was telling, all of us look thin, but that doesn't mean you're not fat. They are two different words. Physically, a person might be thin, but the deposition of fat in the body might be there. That is what causes all these disease conditions, right? See the gradation. This is a condition what we call anorexia nervosa, where the person is literally, this is a psychological condition, because they are so obsessed with putting on weight that they don't eat and try to starve, and that is a physiological, it is basically a psychological condition, right? But from that line to this phase, which is called bulimia, which is again a psychological disorder, this category of group usually eat and tend to vomit it out, because they are having a psychological disorder. They are so obsessed with that, they are scared that they will put on weight, that even after eating, they try throwing up. They voluntarily do that. That's another psychological. Now from that point to obesity, it's not too far off. Okay, why I say this is, how do you assess? Basic assessment is based on your body weight, body mass index, fat and waist circumference. So each one of you can judge where you stand. Body mass index is basically a ratio of your weight to your height. Okay, and the healthy range for Indians is 18.5 to 23. Specifically for Asians and Indians, they have taken this ratio down because we are more prone to, even at a BMI of 23, we are prone to cardiovascular conditions and diabetes. Whereas Europeans, for them the healthy range is 18.5 to 25. That is why I said Asians, Indians are told to be thin but fat. We are thin, but the body percentage of fat is more by genetically in Indians, specifically in Asians. So we have a tendency that even if a person is somewhere just 10 kgs more to her ideal body weight also, this person has more chances of getting the disease conditions. So you can take your weight in kgs divided by height in square. This should be in meters. So if you have your height in say centimeters, 160 centimeters, your weight say 70 kgs, 70 by 1.6 into 1.6. That is how this has to be calculated. You get a ratio. That ratio, you need to be in this range. Okay? Nowadays, most of the various apps which have this BMI calculator, you just enter in your this one and get the BMI calculation. But most of the apps will give it to you as normal range as 25, but you all have to take it as 23. Body fat is very important. It's not just weight and body mass index. The waist ratio for males recommended is to be, that is waist by hip. If you are measuring your waist and measuring your hip, the ratio of that should be less than 1 for males and less than 0.85 for females. But more than the ratio, nowadays we are looking at waist circumference as the most important, because the abdominal fat is always the main culprit for diabetes, cardiovascular problems and other disease conditions. So always trying to reduce abdominal fat is very important. Okay? So for men, it should be 92 centimeters or less than 35 inches. Women, 80 centimeters is a cutoff. So always abdominal fat in women have to be made, abdominal circumference. Okay, this is the measurement, has to be less. I just have this to make it clear to you all that there are some girls who think that body fat has to be as low as possible. I want you all to understand there is a difference in the body composition of males to females. Right? If you notice the total, this is just a theoretical model. If you notice in the age group of 20 to 24 years for a height of this height, the total fat is 16%, whereas in women 25%. That's not more. Because if you see the next slide, there's something called a body what requires, that is what it requires as essential. For men, it's only 3% which is required as essential fat, whereas women require 12% of fat in their body. So those women who have less than 12% of fat which is essential, they have problems. So having no fat also is a basic problem for girls which affects their hormones function. So essential fat is very important. It is not that being skinny and being the 0 hour shaped, this one is not healthy. Okay? Essential fat is very, very important for normal hormonal function. The normal menstrual cycles that have to come does not happen if you are overweight, that is you have excess fat, also if you have less fat. So that's why it's important. I just wanted you all to observe that women should have an essential 20% fat, and so 25% is the total fat, of that 12% is essential. Okay? So what are the weight loss mistakes that usually happen? Skipping breakfast, then eating on some empty calories, crash dieting, and then weekend treats. The other risk factors that are related to weight gain is high blood pressure, high LDL cholesterol, family history, physical inactivity, or smoking. So how do you assess that whether you need to lose weight or not? If your BMI is more than 30, right? If your BMI is more than 30, if you are having a high BMI plus you have any of those two risk factors that I earlier mentioned, that is hypertension, all that, then even a small weight loss will help. Small means even 5% of your weight loss will actually help you come out of those risk factors. If you need to further prevent weight gain, then you need to look at further reducing on the weight. As I said earlier, you are what you eat. So what does food intake depend on? It will depend on right from your personal preferences. Right? It is a habit. Earlier before coming, Madam and I were just discussing, food is something that starts off with what each one of us eat. Is a taste that we are introduced to. Each one of you in your houses, whatever your mothers cook, what you have started eating is the taste that you like. Right? So personal preferences with regards to food is always going to be there. Convenience, what is available again ends up. So these are certain factors which will definitely influence the amount of food you or the food intake that you get. So let's see how many of you all can answer. Do larger portions tend to make us eat more? Just true or false? Larger portions do they tend to make us eat more? All or false? Some of you say true and some of you say false, okay? Larger portions does make you eat more because we are grown used to eating portions way bigger than we need. So the larger portions is one of the many reasons given for increasing incidence of obesity. And this is why earlier I was telling, preschool age, if a mother starts pushing the child to eat and eat and eat, this poor child is without realizing ending up being obese. Because once you start giving them large portions, then the child cannot eat less. So force feeding a child Okay? This is again applicable for those of you who eat quickly, who gulp food down. You don't realize what you're eating, how much you need. Our brain needs at least 20 minutes to send you signals to let you know that you're full. 20 minutes. I'm not expecting all of us to do that during our day, but at least a night meal consciously should be at the table, not in front of the TV. And eat slowly. Eat first a portion that you actually need and then see. You can observe this when you actually, I don't know how many of you have seen that when you go to a hotel, you've ordered some food and the order gets delayed. When the food starts coming late, all that you ordered you feel is excess. And then you end up either packing it up and then, okay, give it, let it go home. So this happens because when you eat slowly, you realize you actually don't eat that much. Okay? So larger portions actually tend to make you eat more. What do you say for this? Is it true or false? The body's fuel comes from protein, fat and carbohydrates. All are true to this? Right. So I don't need to go to the basics of nutrients. Good. Okay. This is any bakery product, okay? An average, you can take it as a cookie, is 2 servings of grain foods. I use this question mainly because nowadays, I don't know if any of you have started looking, most of the products we have nutritional information given. And it will be given in that servings. So these words have started being used. So that's why I wanted you all to do this one. What do you say? Is this true or false? All of you think it's false? Any bakery product, as I said, let's take a cookie. False? Right. Why is it false? Because when you cook any bakery product, it is not just the grain that is used. It's not just the wheat flour, the maida which is used. You have loads of dalda into it, loads of sugar into it, right? That's the why it's exploded we are mentioning. When you are young, you can pretty much eat whatever you want. True or false? So we have both the answers. It's false. Again, the same explanation as I gave you earlier. Just because you're young, you go on eating what you want, you might not see any change in your weight then, but you're depositing. So what you eat is important. You can eat more, but if you don't eat healthy and you eat excess of fats and your so-called junk foods, you will definitely see the impact later. Okay? So I always say what you eat now can have some impact on your long-term health. Eating breakfast can help control late night cravings. True or false? Those of you said false, please correct. Yes, it can correct. So if you are hungry in the night, start eating your breakfast and seeing you will not have those late night cravings. Those of you who don't eat breakfast and come to college and then end up going back home and eating from evening 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, you're going on eating. Right? 10 or beyond. Those are the people who are going to gain weight later. So these are some of the myths. I just put them because these are questions asked to me by most of the adolescent kids who come in. Banana is fattening, potato is fattening, rice and chapati increases fat. All this is a myth. Any questions? Tomatoes causes stones. Yeah, that's also a big myth. Big false statements all these are. It is sugar free, so I can take how much ever I want. Our famous Diet Coke. It's Diet Coke anyway, so it doesn't have any calories or 1 calorie, so I can drink. The Diet Cokes have only 1 calorie, but we are forgetting that it has so much of phosphoric acid which is equally or more bad than the calories. Okay? So Coke has been told to reduce intake for that. Potatoes or any food becomes fat only in the way it's fry your potato and take finger chips and you take your potato chips, then it is fatty. For that matter, you take carrots and fry it and eat, you eat this one, anything you deep fry, the oil is when that has made it fat, not the potatoes. You bake your potatoes, you boil your potatoes and eat, it is not fatty. And in our Indian cuisine, we end up making potato always as a curry. We don't eat it as a staple food. But if you see the Mexicans, for them like to eat rice, they eat potatoes. It is an excellent combination of nutrients. The vitamin C is richest in potato. So for young children, I'm talking of weaning, when children are still not got their teeth and so on, we can actually mash potatoes and give them. It's a very, very good thing to give them the energy. So potatoes as such is not bad. How you eat it is important. Same thing with your rice and your chapati. Rice, all of us should get our energy 60% from carbohydrates. Nowadays everyone starts thinking carbohydrates I should not eat. Oh, it's carbs I should not eat. Please understand this is wrong. We should get our energy 60% from carbohydrates only. That is a major source of energy. Rest should come from your proteins and fats, not the other things. Okay? And fat free. Yeah, this is a famous thing for all the advertising. This one happily put one big stamp of fat free, so people start eating double and triple the quantities. Oh, it's fat free, I can eat more. So what's happening? You're actually ending up eating more, or in fact more than if you eat. Like the butter. Low fat butter karke aati hai, and no cholesterol butter. You all should understand if there is no cholesterol butter, that butter is not made from milk. It is made from vegetable oil. Okay? So you need to use butter, use it in proper. So everywhere balance is the key. Use it in correct proportions, not avoiding or not using it. Okay? So for your daily intake, these are the nutrients that you have to check that you are getting every day. So these are the various food groups that we have. We have to get a balance of your food intake. All these should come in. Have you noticed something? I have put in your balanced food intake junk foods also. Yes? We don't say that junk foods could not be or should not be eaten. There is nothing wrong in taking a pizza or a burger. But when you eat it, how much of it you eat it and how frequently you eat it. If you are going to avoid eating your 3 square meals, that is, you are eating your morning breakfast, you avoid eating your lunch and dinner and eat only pizzas and burgers, that's bad. And next, you need to decide what is the composition of your pizza or burger. If it's every time going to be laden, cheese is good. Who said cheese is not good for you? But how much of cheese is coming in? Is it in addition to the ghee that you're eating at home? Then have a control. But cheese otherwise is good. It's a great source of calcium. It's a great source of, if you're getting it from butter, you're getting your vitamin A also. So there's nothing wrong in these foods, but how much we eat is important. So that's why I put it in a balanced food intake. Yes, you can include your junk foods, but be very clear how much proportion comes. Right? And a balanced diet definitely will help to prevent on the deficiency diseases, your infectious diseases, and also your lifestyle related diseases. So after having said all this, then what is it you're going to eat? Something tasteless? Yeah? Everyone asking, man, healthy food means it should be tasteless, it will not have upakaram undadu, ade kada you want me to eat, that is healthy. Do you all think so? See, taste for a food comes from the spices that we add. Right? That is what gives taste. It is a myth again to think that the fried items only will be tasty. Why can't a boiled vegetable be tasty? It can be. So it's again a matter of how it is being cooked. It is to do with time. If you have to slowly cook your food, you need more time. So age-old grandmothers used to have the firewood kattu so it will not cook faster. Slowly to simmer there, so the food is very tasty. They used mud pots, so it used to be tasty. Now we need to put the flame on high. We have only mothers have to rush to work, so it you get burned. So put so much of oil so that it gets cooked faster. And that is how it has changed, right? So it is basically to do with taste comes with using the right combination of food, using the right spices. We are not saying no to oil, use oil, but in proportion. If a child needs, the child might have to be given a deep fried food, but that doesn't mean the adults also should take that. That's sort of a differentiation. So what we do usually, how to decide what is it that you need, we usually have some guidelines laid down to decide. We should always aim for fitness, build a healthy base and choose sensibly. Then we can decide on getting a balanced diet. So we use a healthy pyramid always. Eat always adequately the cereals. When it's rice, wheat, jawar, bajra, these are to be eaten adequately. For your hunger, what is to be eaten is this, not, you don't eat a pastry when you're hungry. You eat chapatis, you eat rice when you're hungry because that is your main source of energy. Eat liberally. Fruits and vegetables, you eat as much as you want. They give you your vitamins and minerals which protects you. Eat moderately the oil, the spices, the protein foods. So your egg, meat, fish, poultry, even dal comes here, not down. Dals don't come here, these are all cereals. Dals also should come here. All protein foods come in the third level. And eat sparingly your fried foods, sweets, oils and fats. Sugar should come in the last. No to alcohol and smoking, and of course exercise regularly. I'm sorry, that's got the same pyramid is actually nowadays put in this form. Same thing that I was telling you. This is how now the pyramid is projected. It's given instead of steps now in this form. Grains, vegetables, fruits. See oil, only that much. This is milk products, last is your meat and beans, pulses and this. It's only that much level, not so much level. Okay? And exercise is a very important part of your healthy life. Now can everyone eat the same quantity, same size? No. Right? So it depends on your age, it depends on your sex, and it depends on the activity you do. A person who is actually going to the gym, who is actually doing having time, can definitely have a different level of eating. A person who doesn't get time for exercise, definitely will have a different level. Okay? Eat a varied diet. A variety is very important. What the pyramid shows is why it's shown as 6 different colors. It's all the food groups have to come for you. Grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, oils, everything to come to get a balanced diet. Always make your grains whole grains. I don't know how many of you have started listening to avoid refined foods, eat whole grains. What is the difference is, instead of eating maida products, maida is nothing but refined wheat. So eat more of wheat products but not maida products. All your bakery products are maida. Okay? Whether it is biscuits, whether it is bread, whether it is pastries, everything, pizza, burgers is maida. So reduce on your maida items. Reduce on your packed food items. Vegetables. It's always healthy to use a seasonal vegetables. Start eating more of salad because you can start eating something raw. Right? Dark green leafy vegetables always are beneficial for its iron content. So all of you all in this age group need to get your iron rich foods, and that best source is dark green leafy vegetables. Focus on the fruits. Always try to take fruits as your snack options always. You can always add fruits in the morning breakfast itself, right? Limit your fruit juice to only 150 ml. Always try to eat more of fruits and not juice. Calcium rich foods. This is again a big myth I found among your age group that milk, oh, it's not needed. It's for children. I am a big person now. Why milk? It's not true. Till about at least 20 years to 21 years of age, age, your bone density has to increase, and calcium is a very important nutrient for that. If you don't get your peak bone density now, after 30 years of age, if you have any concern, you cannot increase your bone density. So calcium is the richest source is definitely milk products. So in any form, it need not be as milk. You can take it as curds, you can take it as buttermilk, you can take it as paneer. All these are milk products. So do include. You can focus on fat-free or low-fat milk. Those of you who feel it is becoming excess of fat. Otherwise, toned milk is a better option than full cream milk. Choose cheese. You can use milk your cereals. Use curds as a snack. It's a very healthy option to use curds as snack. Protein foods. Very essential, but again, all the protein foods are usually high in fat. All the non-vegetarians, you will realize chicken, fish, all this is healthy, but the way we make it. You're going to fry your chicken every day and eat fried fish every day, then it becomes a problem. But eating the chicken, fish without not the gravy, eating the pieces will give you good quality protein. And for good muscle building, for getting your muscles tight, getting your muscles, this one's proteins is important to your carbohydrates. If you eat only carbohydrates without protein, it doesn't work. So a combination of carbohydrate to protein. So when you eat rice with chicken, when you eat your chapati with fish, chapati with chicken is a good combination. Okay? Oils. As I was saying, oils is not that it should be avoided, but be conscious of what to be taking. Cooking oils, it has been recommended, our National Institute of Nutrition has come up with various studies to confirm that instead of taking one oil, always use a blend of oils. It is healthy for the entire family. So if you are using oils like groundnut, rice bran or til oil, you can use that. Or if you are using oils like safflower oil, sunflower oil, combine it and use along with palm. The best option otherwise you can do is you can tell at home to change the oils every month. If you are buying 2 oils this month, next oils you can buy 2 other packets. So like that, keep changing variety of oils so that you get the benefits of all these oils. Each oil has its own benefits. Right? The North Indians use a lot of mustard oil. That's a very good oil, but all of us cannot be using it. Mustard oil is a very good combination of fatty acids. So those of you who use mustard oil is good. But those of you who have continuously been using Saffola sunflower oil, please cut it. 20 years back, just because advertisements started saying it will help you reduce cholesterol, everyone started moving from groundnut oil to Saffola and sunflower. Nowadays, it shows that it's causing cancer. Because too much of one type of fatty acid, it's not a balanced oil. Any oil will not be balanced. Compared to that, refined groundnut oil is much better. But no oil, first limit always for oils is the quantity we use. Just because I have clients who come to me telling, man, don't bother, I use only olive oil. So what, if you are using olive oil also, calories is the same. So whichever oil you use, first important thing is how much you are using, then goes to the quality. Yeah, this is again to say moderation. Like I was telling, the broad thing shows you can take enough of vegetables. But what does the pyramid say is how you make a vegetable. Fried vegetable should be eaten only so much quantity. If it is boiled vegetable, you can eat so much quantity. So moderation even from the point of how it is made. It is not true to say I eat 2 vegetables every day, but how are you eating that vegetable is also important. Okay? Proportional. Each bit of the pyramid shows in your balanced diet what should be the proportion of food you are eating. So I was telling you, cereal should be the largest portion that you are eating in a day. Then comes vegetables, fruits, then comes milk products, last comes the proteins. Okay? And finally, very important that you have to customize, personalize it. Just because your neighbor is eating 2 cups of salads, you also start eating, you are not going to get any benefit of it. Each one's body is unique. In your own house, all of you eat the same food, but your brother must be gaining weight and you will not. So we should understand, genetically, even in the same family, each one is unique and we need to customize to our needs. Metabolism varies for every one of us. So what works for another person might not work for you. So customize it and use it. That's why we use the word My Pyramid. You can actually check the site, it has all this information. And any improvement, any modification, always do it gradually. As I was earlier also telling, portion size is very, very important. Okay? Children and adults eat more when served larger portions. So don't get into the habit of just giving. Just because a person is eating, go on giving, it becomes more. There should be a control. Be aware of portion distortion. Use smaller plates, eat slowly and stop when comfortably full. Not till the brim. Most of them have the habit, I'm still not full, I can eat a little more. Still not full, little more. No. Comfortably full means you should actually be able to feel comfortable, not like you're drained out after eating so much that you can't move. That sort of eating is not healthy. Why I talk of portion sizes? Earlier we used to get burgers only that size. I remember my burgers only like that. Nowadays, whether it's McDonald's, whether it's one, everyone wants to pull you people in. Just for 20 rupees you will get so much, but right? See the change in the calories that go up. You won't even realize. Here I would like to take the example of Kurkure packets also. I had a mother who came to me and said, Madam, my son doesn't eat any lunch, he doesn't want to eat. So when I keep checking, just after the child comes from school, the child will finish one packet of Kurkure. Then the mother is after the child will start eating food. One packet of Kurkure is equivalent to eating 2 cups of rice. That much of calories that Kurkure packet has. And how can that child 5-year-old eat again 1 cup of rice? This is where overfeeding happens. Same thing with our soft drinks. Earlier it used to be a small bottle. Now we get the half drinks. But see the calorie change that happens. As I was telling earlier, energy balance, simple logic, to maintain your weight, your calories in should be equal to your energy output. So if you have to lose weight, you have to either use more energy than what you take. If you have to gain weight, you take more calories than you use. That is simple mathematics, isn't it? But then, you should understand, even a 200 ml of your any soda, whether it is Sprite, whether it is Coke, whether it is Fanta, is almost, you have to walk 30 minutes every day if you have to burn that. Just one bottle of soda. And if you reduce, just this extra 150 calories, if you reduce, you can lose 2.5 kgs in 6 months. So, I want you to understand 2 things from this. No one gains weight suddenly. It is over the days, over the months used to. That's why I said 3 years from now, if people continue eating what you all are doing now, if it is like that, you will actually gain weight. You might not gain weight from the point of your weighing scale showing 5 kgs extra. You will gain fat in your body, which will start showing in various other symptoms. Suppose you want to reduce your calorie intake by 150 calories along with moderate exercise, then you can lose 5 kgs. Earlier you were able to lose only 2.5 kgs. So along with reducing calorie intake, if you do exercise also, then you can burn more. You can lose about 5 kgs in 6 months. Now what is 150 calories? It is not very clear. Just want you all to understand, this much of cashew nuts is also 150 calories. This much of boiled sweet corn is also 150 calories. 1 vegetable puff is also 150 calories. 2 small fulkas with just rot pacham lagat, that is, there is no oil in the chutney, is also 150 calories. 1 uttappa is also 150 calories. This is dalia upma, is also 150 calories. See the quantities. After eating 1 puff also, you all can still eat so much more. But as a snack, if you eat corn or if you eat dalia upma, you are actually full. Which gives you better nutrients. Definitely, I am not saying don't eat puffs, but the calories that came or the nutrients which came from this or the cashew nuts is definitely only fat and not anything else. But here you you got its vitamins, you got the proteins, you got the minerals. So you have to decide that way. And when does one gain weight? When you take extra 150 calories. It's not that you ate, so you are eating your regular stuff and then you go and say, oh, it's healthy, corn is healthy, so I can eat. You have eaten your regular calorie intake, suppose you are taking 1500 calories, then just because corn is healthy or sprouts is healthy, you take another 1 cup and eat, that extra 150, but even if it's a healthy option, you will gain extra calories. Please understand that. Where you got an extra 150 calories is important, not important. You got extra, then it is extra. Whether it is come from a good source or a bad source. So always exchange one for the other if you want to get the benefit of the good foods. Just eating sprouts doesn't mean it's healthy. Where have you incorporated it? How have you exchanged it? Then it will work. Almonds, all of us know is healthy. But if you are eating already ghee-laden food, you are already having enough and then adding almonds, it will not work in reducing cholesterol. You cut out oil and you include 6 almonds every day, it will reduce cholesterol. It will reduce blood sugar. So it's all a matter of balance. I also wanted to show the same 150 calories if you have to burn. See how much you have to do. You have to jog for 5 miles per hour, that is at least 12 minutes per mile. If you have to, for 18 minutes, if you have to burn 150 calories. This is for a 70 kg person. If you are only 50 kg, you have to do more time. So I always say a heavy for an obese person is lucky. A 100 kg person may not do so much time. They can just do for some time. Right? So it is not easy. Burning 150 calories also is not easy. You have to almost play volleyball for 40 minutes. You have to walk at a moderate pace for 30, half an hour. When you walk at half an hour, then you will burn 150 calories. And the same 150 calories, you just ate even corn extra and you got it. So this is how slowly you start gaining weight. This is another way of balancing. One Black Forest cake is like 300 calories. If you want to burn that, you have to almost jog at 5 miles per hour. 2 samosas is 300 calories. You have to walk for 1 hour. So the so-called snacks, keeping it just a snack, can be all the reason that you end up gaining extra. So I'll come to some tips. I would like you all to use the 3/4 plate rule, where 3/4 of your plate should have grains, dals, fruits and vegetables, and meat and dairy the other 1/4 of your plate. Then it is a balance. Choose more of colored fruits and vegetables. Those of you who are non-vegetarians, try to eat fish and seafood once a week. When I say drink more tea, this is a very tricky tip. It doesn't mean the typical Irani chai of us. We are looking at the black tea, no sugar. Right? The regular teas, as usual, 1 cup or 2 cups is fine. Always drink your tea after your meals, after a gap. Don't drink it with your meals. Especially those of you who have low hemoglobin levels and those who are anemic. Never drink your tea along with your breakfast or your meals. It does not allow iron absorption. Always give a 1 hour gap. Try to eat a fruit or fruit juice along with your breakfast. A guava is the best source of vitamin C. We have a recent study from our institute which says that you eat a guava along with your lunch, you can increase your iron absorption. All of you all can try it. Carry a guava, it's plenty. Along with lunch, along with breakfast, anytime, eat a guava, you will feel more energetic because your hemoglobin improves. Choose Chinese food whenever you are eating. Try to drain off the sauce is the main source, the gravies is the main source of fat. I say avoid drinking at the coffee shop. Cafe CCDs, your cafe coffee days. If you see a typically big cup of coffee is almost 400-600 calories. How much of water do you all drink per day? half liter bottle. Every one of you need at least 2 liters per day. That is, a liter bottle is like, if I look at 5 glasses, 10 glasses of water per day minimum. Yeah, this is a very important tip. So eat slowly. This is the discussion on water. There are lots of ifs and buts for drinking water, I understand. When you drink more water, a lot of disturbances, you have to use the restroom frequently, there is no proper this one. All this starts right from school days, isn't it? So you don't drink water. Yeah? But all of you all should understand there is a way out. You all have to practice it. It is not a matter of just pushing it out, because if you are going to spend 6 hours to 7 hours of your day out and then say you drink half liter of water, you will become dehydrated, and that itself is a cause for being tired. Fatigue, tiredness happens because of dehydration. So start sipping water, not gulping water. When you sip water all through the day, you don't actually pass out lots of urine. You can actually still manage. When you drink water 2 glasses at a time, yes, it helps you. So you have to try to implement it in different forms. Right? Eat slowly, as I was saying earlier. Those who are fast eaters, at least 1 meal per day, try to get to eat slowly. Including salads in your diet is a very good way to make you eat slowly. So start your dinner with a salad. 5 pieces of cucumber, carrots, tomato, beetroot, whatever you all can eat. If you can first eat that, you spend around 5 minutes, 7 minutes. And again I stress, avoid eating while watching TV or using the system, because there is enough research to show that you all don't know what your brain doesn't know what you're eating if you're going to do that, and so it is going and depositing somewhere else. Right? It doesn't work the way you want. Please take 1 meal to be with your family and eat at the table. Avoid the jumbo giant deluxe with these supersized items. Okay? These are some of your healthy fast foods. They won't be tasty. That's what my daughter tells me. If I tell her healthy fast food, she says it's not tasty. These are some unhealthy choices, mainly because there will be too much of salt, fat or sugar, larger than normal portions. If you are eating a chicken nuggets or a fried fish, in specified portions it will not be bad. You end up eating only that as the main course, then yes, you are overeating. So then I come to, after what to eat, when to eat. That's also equally important. I would say you have to eat 3 square meals and 3 round meals a day. What I mean by that is, always have small portions distributed and not eat 2 big meals. That doesn't help your body to utilize or give your energy as you want. So your breakfast, lunch and dinner is your normal meal. But after that 3 hours, after each of the meals, start to eat something. So even after dinner, if you are sleeping late, you can have a small. See, when I say snack, even a glass of milk is a snack. A glass of cup of curd is a snack. A fruit is a snack. It doesn't mean you again going to eat rice. It doesn't mean that. Okay? So snacks are very important to keep you energized and fueled throughout the day. So those of you in college, even a few almonds in between your classes is a good snack. Just carrying some roasted groundnuts. Those of you like it sweet, just carrying 2 or 3 pieces of chickpea, the groundnut with jaggery, till laddus. All these are good snacks. Okay, you don't need to, instead of reaching out to a dairy milk or instead of reaching out to a this one, but try get it with. Or eating 2 to 3 dates or the anjeer. These are all dry. Doesn't matter what you can. So those are also healthy snacks. If you can carry fruits, nothing like it. But I know all of you will not be able to. So carry something which is easier to put it in your pockets or bags which can be taken. Right? Your best bet is always to choose complex carbs, we say. Fruits, vegetable salads, low-fat foods are all good options. I again stress the importance of breakfast. Breakfast has shown to improve alertness and concentration, keeping tiredness at bay. It helps you prepare the body for the day. Right? So either you go in for your regular breakfast items, but do include your fruits with your breakfast. If you are taking the cereals, you can take it with fruit and milk or fruit and curds. So please understand the combination is important. A protein source should be there, a fruit or vegetable should be there, and a cereal should be there. Then it's balanced. If you are taking bread like toast and with eggs, again fruit. If you are taking oatmeal, there is resin, there is a dry fruit. So that way, a balanced breakfast is important. These are some healthy snacks. As I said, a fresh fruit always is the best bet. It just gives you 40 calories. If you take even 10 almonds, it's about 90 calories. Right? All of you all need not be conscious of calories. So what is important is getting in those healthy calories. That's it. Cut off the caffeine late at night. Those of you who are coffee, tea drinkers, please remember caffeine can stay in your system for as long as 5 to 7 hours. So that is the problem with your cokes or your energy drinks or whatever you want to help you boost your energy. That's why caffeine is asked to keep off. It stays in your blood, in your system for more than 7 hours after you drink it, which can cause problems when taken close to bedtime. So lack of sleep, not feeling sleepy when you drink your cokes in the late in the night, that's a problem. Excessive caffeine has causes headaches, anxiety, nervousness, digestive disorders. It's also important to drink lots of decaffeinated fluids. If you're drinking 1 cup of coffee, you'll have to drink 2 cups of water. That much dehydration coffee does. I'm just taking an example of coffee. The same thing with your cokes and other caffeinated drinks. Finally, being active is an important part of any healthy lifestyle. It's not just eating healthy, doing a good amount of exercise also. Right? That's why the pyramid itself has the steps which shows that. At least 1 hour of physical activity on most days is preferred. Any of these is also moderate physical activities. These are vigorous. So we go for vigorous if you really are overboard or exceeded your calorie intake, you are above your ideal body weight, then you have to think of. Otherwise, moderate physical activity would do. Coming off from activity, sleep is one very essential part of a healthy lifestyle. You require about 8 and 10 hours of sleep a night. Lack of sleep does cause fatigue and has caused lots of problems. In girls, there is hormone disturbances when there is lack of sleep. If you are falling asleep in less than 5 minutes, as soon as you go and if you hit the bed and you are falling asleep, that's a very important indication for you that you are sleep deprived. Take action immediately. You should actually take at least 10 to 15 minutes to fall asleep. Then you are in a healthy range. There are 2 types of sleep. We call the rapid eye movement sleep and non-rapid eye movement. Okay? These are the 2 main types of sleep patterns. And your sleep always has a natural cycle, what we call the circadian cycle. Every individual body will have a natural sleep cycle. And this is the reason you have always been advised to have a ritual at your sleep. Stick to a ritual. It doesn't mean it's Sunday, so I can sleep till 12 o'clock. Next morning, you again have to get up at 5 o'clock. Third day, you again get up at 8 o'clock. Now this sort of a thing upsets your body's routine. stick to a ritual. It's very important for normal functioning because that circadian rhythm in the body has to function normally. I'm not saying it doesn't mean that some days also you get up at 5 o'clock, but somewhere around the time, not glaring differences. It doesn't work. The body starts revolting for these things in different forms. That's why you start feeling other symptoms coming up because of these. As I said, be careful with the caffeine drinks, right? Always avoid stress 2 to 3 hours before sleeping. Some of them keep telling me that I'm a late night person, I cannot sleep early. Some of them tell me, no, I cannot sleep so I get up early. Right? So, yes, you morning people, night people, all are there. But then, you can use something called chronotherapy for slowly changing that. It is our work style, it is our lifestyle pattern which creates that times. So, if you need to get up early morning by 5 o'clock, you need to work at least getting 8 hours of sleep, so you need to work to sleep that early. If you are not used to getting, slowly take the time. Every day change it by, or every week change it by 30-45 minutes. You are used to getting up at, you are not comfortably getting up, you get up only at 9 o'clock. Try to get up first by, say, 8 o'clock. Not suddenly getting up at 5 o'clock. Then slowly move. So like that. Go back 30 minutes so your body adjusts to that new thing and it is comfortable. So that's chronotherapy. And finally, I just wanted to give you a small, this one which I came across. What our invading technology is doing. Various studies have reported that cell phone use and texting was negatively related to the grade point average. This is a study that was done in Chennai just 2 years back, and it has been positively related to anxiety. Your grade points is positively related to your satisfaction with life. SWL is a factor which we assess, and was negatively related to anxiety was negatively related. So these findings add to the debate about student cell phone use and how increased use may negatively impact your academic performance, your mental health, and subjective well-being or happiness. See the complaints that was reported. 16% had headache, 25% fatigue, 35% impaired concentration, memory disturbances, sleeplessness. Hearing problems are on the increase now because of that radiation that keeps setting in. Facial dermatitis, can you all believe this? Regular use of cell phones is causing dermatitis. It's a skin disease on your face. And then the sensation of warmth within the auricle and behind and around the ears. Almost 30% reported this. This is the initial phase of a person going deaf. It is just starting as a warmth. That's what any phase that we all have to look at, whether it is obesity, whether it is a simple fatigue, does not start suddenly out of the blue. It is over the years. I again repeat, when I talk to young executives at 30 years of age, when I take sessions for them, to this day they have told me, ma'am, how we wish we knew this like some years back. So for that, I acknowledge the college here for taking this initiative. Even if each one of you have taken even 20% of what I have spoken today, it's not that all of us have to implement everything. Implement what you think is required for you. Now, how do you decide that? As you go through your when you would realize that somewhere down, I am getting fatigued. Can I look in? All of you are internet savvy. Just search out, but be careful on the authentic information. See what's right and try to change on. You have to modify. There is no need to change. When I say change, I'm not looking at, oh, I love eating pastries. No one's asking me to stop eating. I love pizzas. Who's asking me to stop? But if it's causing a problem, then how about modifying that? If your sleep is causing a concern, how about modifying what you're doing late at night? Because it's important as a healthy part of your lifestyle. So it's important to have a right balance between your food, exercise, sleep and getting enough sunlight. There's an increasing trend of vitamin D deficiency now. It's surprising. 30 years back when I was in college, we used to study vitamin D deficiency will come only for women in parda. And we all used to sit and joke that okay, we are not using the parda, so we won't get it. Vitamin D in our body is generated only by sunlight. If you don't expose, it's generated in our skin. So you're going to sit covered in your room always, front of the computer, then from computer to car and or your bus and then to college and back and not expose yourself to sunlight. Every one of you all are prone to vitamin D deficiency. And there is no food which is going to give you vitamin D. It has to be generated from sunlight. Okay, so very important to expose yourself. It has been shown that morning 11 o'clock to afternoon 2 o'clock is the time in our altitude where we get that particular ultraviolet rays. Just 5 minutes to 7 minutes exposure is enough. Right? So those of you who get very conscious, oh I'll get tan, my skin will get the sun, please put it aside, get out and go play. Body, the only place that you have got to live in. Okay? To eat is a necessity, but to eat intelligently is an art. Please take on that message. Thank you.
Before the session will be concluded by Ashwini Madam, let me have a few things to share with you. 3 observations by a group of faculty members motivated us to organize this session for second year students. Number 1, the name of the girls Durga Prabha Bhavani and Jhansi Rani. Second year, third year EC girls 2 years back used to fall almost every day because of bad food habits. Name Jhansi Rani Lakshmi Bai and Durga Bhavani. So then what is happening in college? And that bad myth, that means some false imagination that if I eat more, I will add weight. And therefore, almost many times, we have to admit girls and boys in nearby hospitals with emergency call services. Just because of this reason, they are skipping proper diet, no good food habits. And that is the only reason. Always in college, suddenly panic situation arises. We have to call parents. Some simple reason. Number 2, second observation, that catching the young boys from second year, third year, final year, in between the lectures, where are you going? Sir, I am going to canteen feeling hungry. 12:30 hungry, 9:30 hungry, 4:30 also feeling hungry. What is this? Once I follow them in canteen, I had the conversation with our Raju, the canteen owner, just as a curiosity, that what is the demand for different these beverages and these food items and these cold drinks and Coca-Cola and then Thumbs Up and whatnot. Lot of demand. You know the canteen wala raised the price. We told him you make it 10 rupees extra, but even though there is no falls in the demand. So, think properly. I never listened such type of the lecture during my college days, and therefore I neglected lot, not like this Thumbs Up and all those things, but I never bothered about my food habits properly. Particularly, I skipped the food at particular timing, and therefore now I am repenting. The thing is that when she had the lectures in corporates and other companies, last point, we have just neglected little bit that point. The people, those who are listening to her now saying, Madam, you would have listened it when you were in college days. So you are lucky enough. We have a great and wonderful session with Dr. Lata. So remember all the tips given by her, because ultimately it affects on your study and on your career. Thank you.
You have made our day. Thank you for that. And I as a mother always tell my kids
about their, always having a problem with their diet and all. And I used to tell them, I always tell them, often tell them that I'll take you to a counselor, I'll take you to a dietitian and all. And now I don't have that problem now, because I have already understood the nutrition values that the child should have.